Hey folks, it's Grant with Big Tough Farmer, episode number 4. I have been very busy along with all the other farmers this past spring. We are in southeast Louisiana, so our spring comes a little bit earlier than our brothers and sisters in other parts of the country. Temperatures right now for us, it feels like summertime. I'm inside taking a break from right now. We're hitting the 90s consistently, and it's nice and toasty and humid out there. And so we're going to start putting more material out there now that we're getting into the days of summer for us. Things are starting to slow down a little bit on the farm. It's very crazy, like I said, for us here during the springtime with the different types of farm activities that we're involved in. And so for us, being in southeast Louisiana, summertime is very much our we start going into a lull. A lot of other farms, their lull happens in winter, but for us, our ryegrass is growing in the wintertime, and then it's very pleasant to work outside. There's no snow. Things typically are not freezing. And so we're typically very busy at the end of fall, winter, early spring. And then we start kind of doing our hibernation because it's so hot. So it's just the flip side of winter, or the extreme of wintertime for us. So and then we have hurricane season and all this other kind of stuff. So anyway, so we start kind of like working on other stuff during the summertime. Anyway, here with episode 4, I just want to kind of go over a couple different things. First off, where are we with this platform? I did have a couple of folks give me some really good advice over the past few weeks. My background, all this kind of stuff is crazy. I learned the difference between a horizontal and vertical screening because we're doing multiple platforms. So this is good. This is being videoed for YouTube. And then I'm also putting some stuff out on Facebook and Instagram and kind of like getting people to follow that stuff. And so I've got to use different configurations for different things. So I'm in the process of learning that. And then, so we're in the early days of this platform. Whenever I start listening to whatever the new platform may be, say a podcast, they may have a couple hundred episodes, and a lot of times I go to their first 10 episodes, and there's a huge difference between the first handful, the first dozen of episodes, and then their later episodes. I mean, the sound quality gets better. Their questions get better, their interaction gets better, things are streamlined, and that's because they've gotten the reps, they've gotten the practice in. And so whenever you start something new, you have to understand that you're gonna crawl before you walk, and you got to walk before you run. The saying with that is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And I don't mind that sharing that with you. I'm very comfortable with getting started, bootstrapping, knowing that with my particular personality, I'm very comfortable with failure, and I'm very comfortable with looking kind of dumb and stupid and what is this guy doing, because I know that every time I do a rep, I'm going to get better at whatever it is that we're working on. One thing that we're working on at the farm right now is growing specific pro cut sunflowers as a cut flower, as a floral flower. And we all have a gardening background here. We're mostly in livestock operation, but with our direct to consumer business, cut flowers are an item that we've sold from other local cut flower farms. And so I've been wanting to grow some flowers ourselves, and also have the cut flowers that we grow just like, as a marketing thing to give away to our customers as a thank you. So thank you for doing business with us. Here's a bouquet of flowers that we grew on the farm. Thank you. We appreciate you, kind of gestures. And so we have to I had to find out where I was getting the sunflower seeds from. I didn't know what varieties that we were going to grow and what colors. And I didn't exactly know how we were going to put the rows in, if we were going to direct seed, if we were going to start in seedling trays, if we were going to start in soil blocks. And so, what did we do? We just started, So I found, I ordered, a variety of different types of cut sunflower seeds. We started them in a couple different ways. We figured out that the soil blocks are how we want to do it through a couple little quick trials. They're started underneath a grow light, transplanted outside. I knew I didn't want to direct seed because of birds and rabbits and squirrels and slugs and snails and all the things can go wrong with little seedling sunflowers. And so we got a bunch planted out. And I said, you know what, like all this work that we're doing, let's plant some sweet corn while we're doing it, because worst case we'll get some sweet corn out of it. And we got sweet corn out of it, but we also got the cut sunflowers. And so we started cutting the sunflowers, started bringing them to the store, started giving them away, started selling some. And then now that we've got a bunch of sunflowers, now we got to figure out, what stem length do we cut at, and at what budding stage do we cut at, so the customer has the flower looking great for as long as possible after they buy it from us. So right now we're like real time setting the protocols. Be like, okay, if it's fully flowered, cut it, deadhead it, chuck it to the chickens or the pigs or something, and then this is what we're after. So just this morning we took pictures of the sunflowers that in the stage where we want to cut them. And then we're setting up a protocol on what days we're going to cut, what days we're going to deadhead, what our target stem length is. We found some buckets in storage that we're going to use to, as soon as we cut them, we can get them in buckets and water. So we're real time improving, our situation. And then, I just came across the concept of the OODA loop. A friend of mine had asked me if I knew what the OODA loop was. It's observe, orient, decide, act, and then it's a constant cycle. So what it is, it's constant real-time improvement through your observation. So you're constantly pivoting and constantly trying out different things real time. And so that's what I'm doing here with this particular platform. I don't know what I'm doing for the most part as far as setting up a digital platform. I've never done it before, but it's like, I'm not gonna hurt myself. I'm not gonna hurt anybody in doing it, and so we're just doing it, and we're doing it in real time. So I encourage you, some situations, to do that, and in some scenarios it's not appropriate to do that, because then things may get hurt, or you may hurt yourself, you may hurt somebody else, things may get damaged. So it's a context specific way to approach getting something done, but you just have to put the checks and balances in so it all goes well. And so that's what I'm doing with this platform, is that every time I post, every time I put something out there, I listen to what people are saying. Nobody's going to hurt my feelings, and I welcome the feedback. And so that's what we're doing. And so in that, I'm welcoming the failure, right? And so there's so many concepts where failure is punished and is penalized, and you're a pariah if you fail. Our educational system is kind of like that, right? So you failed the class, you got to take summer school, you got an F, you got a C, you're stigmatized because you get bad grades. But in reality, you just might really be bored. And so the A students are always praised, and the F students are always kind of like, treated like idiots. And so unfortunately, when we go into the real world, though, that's not how it works. So just because you fail today doesn't mean that you can't turn it around and become, an A performer, the next day. And so the real world works in a little bit of a different way outside of academia. Unfortunately, people kind of get trained for so many years in that failure mindset that they don't realize when they go out and they may start a business or start some sort of venture or a hobby or even something as simple as getting their body in shape. They want to go from a couch, the marathon, and then they go out and they try to run a mile and they fail and then they just give up, right? Well, that's not how you start training for a marathon from the couch. If you're sitting on the couch and you want to run a marathon, you're going to go out, say Monday, you're going to go out for a 10-minute walk. Tuesday you're going to go out for, a 15-minute walk. And then throughout that week, you're just going to keep walking and you're going to increase your walks. And then the next week, you're going to increase your walks. And then the third week, you may start actually, running for 30 seconds and then walking and then running for 30 seconds and then walking. And then the next week, you're going to run for 60 seconds and walk. And then you're just going to have that constant, consistent persistency of incremental growth, and that's what I'm doing here, to share that with you. And so, also, we don't want to blow the budget on this platform, right? My business is not putting out digital content, and so I'm putting time and effort into this. I did buy a little holder and a little light and a microphone for my smartphone, for the iPhone, so I can actually record this stuff. And so, there's a limit to how much I'm going to put into it until I start getting some sort of return on that. And then hopefully somebody will, hire me for a consultation over an hour, and I'll charge them X, and then they pay me and I get that money and I plow it back into this platform. Or they hire me, to do a little consulting or something for them, and I plow that money back in, and then I increase the content and increase the videos and increase whatever it is I'm doing, and I get an awesome, background for the wall that looks badass, and and all that kind of stuff. And so, so that's what we're up to with the platform. Speaking of incremental growth, we're actually right now in our shipping container house. Kate and I have been living in a 45-foot shipping container that we built out for about 5 or 6 years now, 320 square feet. We sold our house in New Orleans, when we wanted to really commit to the farm, which is 60 miles north of New Orleans. And then we built out, which I think is a pretty badass little apartment in a shipping container. And so we worked very hard the past handful of years, and we're being rewarded with us building a house, a 2,000 square foot house on the farm. So we're actually, the crew is taping and floating the drywall today. I'm GCing the construction on that. That's being your own general contractor. And so we're hopefully going to be moving in to the house, hopefully in 2 months here. So it took us, 5 years or 6 years or whatever, to go from 320 square feet to 2,000 square feet on the farm. But that's that persistent consistency and that dedication and that commitment and that long-term sacrifice and that long-term vision. And so, so that's what we're doing. And so once we move into the house, hopefully in a couple months, this shipping, the ship that we call it, the shipping container apartment, is going to become my office. And so I can do whatever I want to it. And so we can do some pretty cool, like studio, swag stuff in here. I think that'll be pretty cool. Anyway, so enough of talking about us. That's just where we're at. That's where the platform is. So, so forgive me on our early days. You're just an early adopter, and you're awesome for being here. So thank you. And it will just keep getting better from here. I did kind of want to go through like the big picture of, what this platform is going to provide. I know I'm going to repeat this just over and over again. But as farmers, ranchers, homesteaders, lifestyle farms, and by lifestyle I mean you've made your money, you've retired, and you don't want to travel the world. You want to have a farm. And so I know folks that have done stuff like that. And so so if you're getting into agriculture, no matter where you are in the scheme of things, you have to deal with bad catastrophic weather, seasonal weather that just may destroy a crop or give you a really hard time, death, disease, loneliness, isolation. When I say loneliness and isolation, you are physically typically going to be alone or with maybe one other person in a rural area, and so there's not as it's not as busyness going on. And so you just may not see as many people. You may not have as many conversations. You may not have as many people to wave at and things of that nature. And so, so you're a little isolated. Also, the number of folks who are working on a farm are very slim, based upon, stats with the workforce of the folks in the U.S. who are working. It's like 1% is actually involved in agriculture. And so very few of us are actually out doing for-profit or lifestyle type farming activities. There's just not that many of us out there. And so we get lonely and we get isolated, and there's not that many people we can call and say, hey bro, I'm having a hard time because, the cow's calf died or whatever, or some chicks I got in died, or I had a crop failure, on the tomatoes or whatever, cutworms just fucking ate my whole pasture. And so, there's not that many people to call. So, so we need to understand how to deal with that, and comes up with habits on how to deal with that. And with those things. Anyway, so that's like that isolation, that loneliness. Anyway, we're dealing with high prices, right? Fuel's still up, which there's benefits to fuel being high. And it's just, stuff is very freaking expensive right now. Like I said, we're building the house, and it's like, we can have a theoretical budget, but we got to stay pretty flexible. Things aren't typically going down in price. They're all going up, and they're staying pretty high. So it's just the deal right now. And then market pricing, what are people going to pay for your product? If you're direct to consumer, you got to worry about what the consumers are willing to pay. If you're commodity, you got to be willing to see what the market's going to be bringing. So anyways, there's a lot of things going on in an agricultural setting, that make it very, very difficult. It's a constant roller coaster. And then with the weather, it's unpredictable. And so it's constant stress, constant unknowns. And so you need to understand that that's the ecosystem, that's the environment that we're in. So you need to come up with things, and adapt to roll with that. Otherwise, you're going to go absolutely crazy. And so we're dealing with all of these things, while at the same time, within an agricultural culture and community, there's not a lot of, hey, can I talk about my feelings, openness, right? Going back to the A and F academic scenario, you're judged if you say, hey, I'm having a bad day, or I'm feeling down. It's kind of like, suck it up, rub some dirt in it, blah, 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 and I was raised very much in that culture. It's like, just stuff it, can it, suck it up, walk it off, and I'm very familiar with that culture. There's pros and cons to that culture. But when you legitimately are in a scenario where you really need a helping hand, or you need some assistance, or you just need some company, not the best place to be. And so, talking about goals and all this kind of stuff, and teamwork, and coordinating with people, and helping each other out, in real and genuine ways. We don't chat a lot about that in the agricultural sector. And it's also general blue collar, right? Imagine, the mechanic shop, imagine, the oil field, or, heavy equipment operators at either a surface mine or a pit mine, all these kind of like areas. It's usually pretty rough places. And so, but the truth is that people are people, and we all have feelings, and we all have aspirations and goals, and we all want to achieve things. And so that's why we're here talking about that. So, the big thing, the whole BTF, Big Tough Farmer thing, is that Big Tough Farmers are going to be talking about this kind of stuff, because this is actually the hard work. It's easier to default to I'm just going to suck it up mindset, because you're kind of being intellectually lazy at that point. You actually don't want to address some of the things that you are that you should be working on. You're just going to sweep the things underneath the rug, and you're going to forget about it. And so, part of being tough is to acknowledge that you need to work on some of these things, right? Because it's actually very difficult and hard work working on your community and your circle of influence and yourself. And so the big mantra, that I like to cover, I like to say things is that, you need to work on yourself. You need to you need to establish your goals. You need to build the team that's going to help you get after your goals and achieve your goals. And then you need to lead that team. And then everybody's leadership style is a little bit different anyway. So I want to so you got self, goals, team, and leadership. And those are the things that I want to kind of like cover briefly. What does that mean? So, working on yourself. So many different things. I mean, it could be physical, mental, spiritual, all the different ways that you can work on yourself. The act of me doing this platform is me working on myself. I get a lot of benefit out of doing this because I get to go back over all this material in order to prepare before I go ahead and I shoot a video. And so, this, just me doing this right here is an act of self-improvement, right? Last year, I went through a coaching program. It was kind of like a counseling, coaching program, where it was all men, and it was 3 months, and it was 3 or 4 Zoom sessions a week. So it was a lot of work. And then I did that because there were a few things that I wanted to work on, specifically, how I would get triggered and how I would get angry over some things. So that was some work that I did on myself to figure out, hey, why are these things triggering me? Why are these things upsetting me? And so I did that work, last year, and I'll talk about that at some point. And so, you get, there's things that you need to work on, self-improvement, right? Working on your own habits. Kind of a fascinating thing that I decided to work on is that last year I really wanted to, do a little routine where I kind of like stretched and warmed up, did some sit-ups, did some push-ups, but I could never get into a pattern in the mornings of doing that. And then so I looked into I did some research on, how to develop, habits. It could be like flossing your teeth or something like that. And so I did that research, and I found that, you need set a consistent time. You need to have other activities that are associated with this new habit. And so there's like this little checklist of like, how do you develop a new habit? And so I just went down a checklist and I started doing that. And so I came up with, I wake up in the morning, I put pot of coffee on, I go brush my teeth, and then I do my little sit-up, yoga, push-up routine. And then typically it takes about when that pot of coffee is about getting done, I'm pretty much wrapping up what I'm doing. And so I follow that pattern every morning, and I really love that pattern. And so I set that up, and it works great for me. So that was the way I worked on myself. So working on your goals. If you don't set goals, you don't know what you're working on. It's literally insane and crazy for you to work your ass off and not know exactly what you're working on with some sort of like metrics. So, it's like, you can't say, oh, I just want to sell a bunch of stuff. And be like, no, you need to have a target goal. You need to sell X amount of stuff, or, farm this much acreage, or, but you need to have these metrics, these standards that you're going after. Because if you don't have a target set and written down in a measurable way, you don't know where the fuck you are. It's insane to me that somebody is not going to write down their goals, but most people do not write down their goals. And so it's just so important. And again, your goals can be in different areas. It could be, I have a goal to work on myself. I have a goal to, make this much money. I have a goal to spend this much time with friends and family. I have a goal to play golf or whatever, these extracurriculars that I want to go after, right? All the spiritual goals, you have all these goals that you have to set. And if you don't set them and have some sort of way to measure these goals, you're just never going to get there. You're going to be working your ass off for not nothing, but it's like you don't know where you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you are, and you don't know where you're going when you don't set your goals. And so you have to set your goals. And so so in order to set your goals, um, you also need to do that work on yourself, so that way you can set the right goals. And because goals are going to be set on um, your belief system, and things that are very important to you. And if you don't work on yourself, then it might be hard. It's going to be kind of hard for you to set the correct goals. And so, because you can just as easily set bad goals that are not going to actually, do things for you that you ultimately want to see happen. And then we can't do it by yourself. Like, we're not an island. The concept of rugged individualism with farming is total bullshit. You need help. You need all kinds of help. Like, not only do you need, plumber, doctor, mechanic, electrician, all this kind of stuff. But you need somebody. You need the friend that you can call. Say, hey, I need some advice. You need the stranger that you can call and say, hey, I need some advice, right? And so you need to build up your team around you. And the formula for building your team is that you call somebody up, or you go up to somebody and be like, hey, look, from time to time, is it okay if I ask you for advice in this goal? I have this goal. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I need some help to achieve this goal. Is it okay with you if I ask you for help from time to time? And, I want you to be, you literally say, hey, I want you to be on my team. Like we tell our mechanics and we tell our people that work for us, hey, you're an important part of our team. Like, you don't work, you don't work for the company. You're not my employee or anything like that. You render services for us. And just to let you know, like, you are part of our team. You're part of our external team, right? And so you're very important to us. So we tell our vendors this. And so, and it goes a long way. So anyway, so you have to build your team. You have to let people know that they're on your team, though. You have to verbalize that. Writing, text, email, whatever. Do it. Try it. It works. It totally works. And so, and then, once you build your team to help you go after this particular goal, then you need to lead your team. You're the one who put the team together, so they're going to be looking at you for like what direction to go in. And everybody is going to have a different leadership style. And so I can't tell you to be this type of leader or this type of leader. All we can say is that, like, look, these are the, fairly proven leadership strategies. This is kind of like how people work. These are a whole bunch of examples. What kind of person are you? Are you a quiet leader? Are you a loud leader? What kind of leader are you? And it needs to genuinely fit your personality, because if you are the type of leader that is not being genuine, they're going to sense that you're not being genuine, and then they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to do what you want. And so you need to be genuine and you feel comfortable in your own skin. And also you need to admit to yourself that leadership is a skill that you can develop. And so there are definitely folks who are natural leaders. That's what they naturally gravitate towards. But they need to hone their skill, and they need help in actually becoming leaders. And so I'm by default, I just happen to be my personality. I'm naturally drawn to, being a leader in the room. And so, and I learned that through Boy Scouts. And so, I was always wanting to be, the patrol leader, or, the senior patrol leader of the troop. And so, I was always looking to be in that leadership role. It's just where I feel comfortable. And when I first, as a teenager, got into leadership roles in Boy Scouts, looking back, I kind of cringed because I was a heavy. I was like, fairly demanding, and a very strong-willed leader. And that was just because I had not developed a skill set around leadership. And so after years in business and these things, you through trial and error and through getting the reps in, I've learned what type of leader I need to be and utilize a skill set. And so, and then, a lot of times you're put in a situation as a leader where you, going back to, if you get triggered and you get angry, you have to be like, all right, I'm the leader. Everybody's looking at me. I've got a subordinate who is triggering me right now, is making me angry. And so, you have to like, breathe, reflect, why am I getting triggered? And then you need to be a calm, everything's all good leader. So that way you can show people the right way, the correct path, and actually deal with the situation. If you get triggered and you either fly off the handle and start throwing shit and cursing and yelling at people, or you just you crawl up in a fetal position and start crying because you're crying like, why doesn't anybody listen to me, whatever that extreme may be. You're not going to be an effective leader, and so you need to develop that skill set. So you need to work on yourself. You need to set your goals. You need to build the team that's going to help you achieve those goals, and then you need to lead that team that you've assembled in order to get where you want to go. And so that's why we talk about self, goals, team, leadership. I mean, that's it. You need to focus on that. That's super important. And so, what is my role? What is the role of other educators and other people who like to share knowledge? What is their role? And so what is the role of Big Tough Farmer for you? Well, let's talk about that. And so before I start talking about what our role is, let's talk about the story of the hero, the hero's journey, right? And so you can easily Google hero's journey, and there's a bunch of really cool stuff out there. I mean, there's the sci-fi examples, of Star Wars, which is a classic hero's journey. Or you can kind of go to, the classic Western, hero story. And so there's so many movies and stories and books that talk about the hero's journey. Lord of the Rings, hero's journey. I mean, think of all of those movies and storylines. It's all hero's journey. And so you are in that story, is that you're the hero. So you're the person who's on a path, on a journey. You're trying to get someplace, and then along that path, you're not perfect. No hero is perfect, right? So you're gonna have these skills and talents, and then you're gonna have all these faults and weaknesses, right? And so you're as the person, as the main theme, the main character in the story. You've got these really good things and you got these really bad things. So you have this good bad conflict going on inside of you. And then while you're on this journey, you're gonna have you're the antagonist. You're gonna have the enemy out there who's trying to stop you from getting where you're going, and whatever that may take several forms. But typically in the hero's journey storyline concept, you're the hero, and you're typically and hopefully going to be the protagonist, right? You're going to be the good guy, and then there's going to be the antagonist out there. It's going to be the bad guy, right? And so the storyline of the hero's journey in old Western is typically, stranger comes to town, the people are being held hostage by, the local mafioso, Western character who's going into all the storefronts being like, demanding money for protection and all that kind of stuff. And he goes and he takes out all the bad guys. And then he goes out, disappears into the sunset. And so that's, so that's the classic Western, kind of a thing. And so you need to identify all the different archetypes in the hero's journey storyline, right? And so you're going to have people that again are going to be straight up against you. You're going to have people that are going to be helping you. You're going to have people that are cheering for you. You're going to have people who are just neutral. They don't care about what you're doing, and you're just whatever. You're just whoever. Then you got the peanut gallery and the critics. You got the people who are saying you can't do this. You're stupid. You're an idiot. What are you thinking? What'd you think was going to happen? That's not necessarily the antagonist. It's kind of like the peanut gallery, right? They're just like talking shit. The antagonist is going to be the thing that's really trying to stop you. And then you've got, the frenemies, you've got the people who act as if they're your friend, but the whole time they're going to actually be your enemy, and they're going to try to figure out ways to jam you up in really sneaky, shitty ways, right? Because they might be jealous of you, jealous of your potential success, or they're jealous of you because you got a great personality or positive personality, and they're like, why does he have such a good personality? I'm miserable, and so I'm just going to do these sneaky little things to make, you miserable. They're the kind of people that don't get your back when you're not in the room. They're sabotaging. What you're trying to do. And to speak of sabotaging, you can be self-sabotaging yourself along the journey, which odds are many of us do. That's why I need to work on ourselves so we can identify the bad habits that are self-sabotaging along the journey. And so, going back to the helpers, we're the helper in your journey. And so, you're the hero on the journey, and you've set your goals, and you're here because I'm offering help. And so that's my role in your storyline, is that I'm here as a helper and as an advocate. I'm not here to tell you how to do it or what to do or tell you that I know how to do it better than you. I'm just saying, hey, look, we're here to throw out this information. Take it, leave it. It may not apply to you. It may apply to you. And so this may help you out on your journey. And then, the other cool thing about the hero's journey, the storyline, is that you are the author of your story. So that's a concept called self-authorship. And so, through self-authorship, you're going to write your own storyline, and then you're going to be able to write your own goals and all this kind of stuff. And so platforms like this is that we genuinely want to help you become better and to achieve your goal. And ultimately, your goal will hopefully be something to the effect of leaving this world better than you found it. Hopefully your goal is to help other people with whatever you're doing, right? Hopefully your goal is to solve a problem that will benefit many people. And so, and then you can benefit along the way while you're helping other people. Like I said, just doing this platform is me working on myself. So I'm helping myself out. I'm also helping you out. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a win-win, right? And so that's what we're after here at this platform. And so, every business has helpers, and every area of life has helpers. We happen to want to focus in on helping you in your agricultural, journey, right? So, or your agricultural business, right? And so, if somebody wants to open a mechanic shop, will they benefit from this channel? Yes, because people are people. So the things that we talk about apply to all people. It doesn't matter if they're farming or if they're doing mechanic work. It's just that there's a lot of scenarios and situations and nuances that apply to every industry. And so this happens to be a platform focused on the unique challenges held within agriculture. And so I definitely listen to other helpers in other industries because I go, that's interesting. Maybe that can apply to farming. And so, for example, I do deep dives into, the economics of manufacturing, of making, like widgets, so I've got this thing of athletic tape, right? There's somebody that worked really hard on figuring out, how big is this roll of the athletic tape is going to be, how many linear inches or feet in this roll, this blister packaging, and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that go into the making of this product. And so if this is an apple or an orange or a fig or a pear or beef or pork or an egg or, corn or oats or, whatever, hay, those things apply. And so I look at other industries and their challenges and say, hey, how does this apply to agriculture and how does this apply to farming? Definitely recommend going outside of your little, narrow, world and go out to other industries for sure. So, So anyway, so that's what I kind of just wanted to cover. I just wanted to tell you, where we are as a platform, and then to kind of go over, what the whole self goals team leadership thing is. I wanted to talk about, the hero's journey and talk about self authorship, and then talk about, why we're here and like what we're trying to do. So that's it. And whenever you start up something like this, typically there's a problem that needs to be solved that's not being addressed. And so, with the material that we're talking about here within agriculture is that, look, we got a lot of stress in agriculture. We have an extremely high suicide rate in culture. We have a very high rate of bankruptcy in agriculture. And that's both production agriculture, commodity, as well as production agriculture direct to consumer. And so there's a lot of stress out there. There's a lot of heartache out there. There's a lot of pain out there. And so you have agricultural professionals who say, hey, farmers are mentally in a very difficult spot right now in the U.S. But they look at the stats. They say, hey, we're having a problem. But the thing is that nobody's fucking really doing anything about it. I mean, they're not implementing the type of training that's needed to get farmers through the challenging times of what's going to be happening in the world that is speeding up, in my opinion. And so we're here to solve that problem. So there's a problem, and we're saying, hey, we want to address the problem from our unique perspective and position, and we're going to help within our little wheelhouse and specialty that we're in. And I happen to be studying this stuff for over 20 years, applying it to business, and it works. Believe it or not, you can call it like cheesy self-help bullshit, and then you can say this is bullshit and this is for the birds. I'm not going to do it, and that's fine. You just do what you want to do. I'm here to tell you that it does work, and I'm not here to bullshit you. It's a lot of hard work. It's not easy. It's challenging, and a lot of people do talk about this stuff, and they're just fucking scam artists. They're putting out YouTube videos of their Porsche and their Ferrari, and they're telling you how fucking awesome they are, and they got chicks hanging on them and whatever bullshit that they're selling. But the truth of the matter is, it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And then you read about them a year or two later, and they're bankrupt, and they're just whatever. It's the get rich quick scheme thing that turns people off when it comes to this work, and that's not what we're doing here. And so I'm going to tell you that odds are, you may fail, but I want you to pick yourself back up and try again. And so this isn't going to be all, Ferraris and Lamborghinis and rainbows and sunshine, and everything working out for you. This is a lot of hard work. And so we're not here to pull the wool over your eyes in any way, shape, or form. We're just saying, hey, this is a really good material. You should really take it seriously. You've most likely never been exposed to this material. So we're here to expose you to this material. So that's what we're here to do. That's my scoop. That's what I got for you in episode number 4. The goals for this platform is to put material out on this YouTube channel. I started setting up a Spotify account so that folks could actually just listen to everything. So I got to get that done. It's on my list of goals. I did have somebody actually help me out with that. And then we have an Instagram account that we just posted to for the first time today, in our Facebook account. So we're trying to, at this point, we're trying to develop our protocols, how we're going about it. We're trying to get feedback from people, what they think. We're just trying to get people to listen to it, trying to get all the social media accounts set up. And then we're just going to be, moving right along. Whenever you do anything like this in a digital platform, it usually takes a couple of years in order to really get a lot of momentum. And because this isn't my first rodeo, I understand that it takes a long time. So I'm dedicating myself to putting material out there. knowing that, I might get like 20 likes or 30 likes or 20 views or 5 views or no views. That's fine with me, because the material is going to be out there. And if I help one person, that motivates me to keep going. And like I said, that one person could be me, because I'm helping myself by putting it out there. And that's often something that happens, is that whenever you go out to help somebody out, oftentimes you end up helping yourself out in so many different ways. You don't want to be a fool, because what's the saying, is that no good deed goes unpunished. And so sometimes going to help somebody, you do get bit. So that's why you need to know what you're getting yourself into, trust but verify. But with here, I'm not lending anybody money. So who calls me up after seeing any of these videos? I think we're good to go. So anyway, so please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can check us out, Big Tough Farmer, on Facebook. We have an Instagram account. We are going to be launching the Spotify account, so you can just listen to it in more of a podcast format. If you have any questions, send them in. If you have any comments, you're not going to hurt my feelings, go ahead and post them. If you overall have any thoughts or suggestions or recommendations or whatever, get in touch with me in some way, shape, or form, and I would appreciate you being involved in that matter, so I can constantly improve on what we're doing here on the Big Tough Farmer platform. So everybody have a good one. Hope you get after it. Have a good rest of the week. Have a great Memorial Day, and remember why Memorial Day is there, and we're very thankful, for the freedom that we enjoy in order to be able to put out YouTube channels and continue farming and do our deal. So have a good one. Talk to you soon.